Hi, and welcome to Seventh Sanctum, paranormal investigation team. And you'll see my Dogman Teepee Hunting come up, but that's another thing as well. But I also do investigation. But we work together, as a team. And I'd like to introduce you to Kerry. She's one of the top leaders, if not the leader.
Not
How you
really.
doing, Kerry?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really, really good. Excited for this. I've been looking forward to this chat.
Yeah, yeah. We should have Natalie as well, hopefully, joining
Yes,
us. Natalie's another leader in the Seventh Sanctum, very important person, much as yourself.
thank
And
you.
hopefully she's going to be on in a little while. Hopefully, but people have lives and they got stuff to do. So if she's not, that's not a problem. What we plan on doing on this is basically we went on an investigation, didn't we, Kerry?
Yes, we did. Yep, this is true.
And where did we go? We went to the Ironworks.
Yes, so we went to the Ironworks in Southend, and it is the
Mhm.
first time that that location has ever been investigated. We were involved with, or should say, it was organised by the Essex UFO and Paranormal Group, which is a
Yeah.
group that's based in Essex that do lots of meetups and talks, demonstrations, and the Ironworks in Southend is a charity organisation. So it was an event to help raise some funds for those.
What a fantastic venue. I can't tell you enough. 5 floors. This thing, wasn't it? 5 floors, including the basement. And it just went up, floor, up, floor, up, floor, up. Am I right in that? Is that 5 floors? Am I right?
Absolutely. Yes, there were some original
Yeah.
features there. Every floor was the
Incredible.
same size as the one below, which was massive. Um,
Yeah.
and the history of the location as well is phenomenal. It is literally, it is oceans of time that place has crossed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fantastic. It's a great little place that, well, massive, it's huge.
And you can feel it. You can when you go and you kind of like we were going from floor to floor, and you can feel the history in it. I love this. Oh my word! I love the cellar. Oh, and the lower floors. Oh, brilliant. And we got some really good feedback from there, didn't we? We got some good evidencing, if that is a word. I think it is from that place. Now, what I mean by that is. Um, when you ask for something, now put me right if I go wrong here, Kerry, but when we ask the spirits or entities to respond, they respond on
Absolutely.
cue.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to know that it wasn't our paranormal team that did this investigation. There was three of us there, or four of us
Mm,
there, but the rest were members of the public. And some of these people, or some of the members of the public, have never been on an investigation before. So we were working with people that probably aren't familiar with working with spirit
mm,
or learning the ways of working with spirit in terms of the equipment and all kind of stuff. So the evidence that
yeah,
we got considering that as well was
mm,
unbelievable. It was
yeah,
fantastic. In fact,
yeah.
well, I'm sure we'll talk about it later on in the show, but we was able to do after the fact a little bit of research live on camera, and we was
Mm,
actually able to trace back a spirit that we had made contact with as well, and we were able to validate with some of the information that they gave us.
incredible, yeah, yeah, absolutely incredible. Fantastic place. One of the first when we were there, um we kind of like because what happens when you go onto a venue like this, because there was 3 groups, the groups are segregated, so they kind of and they go off onto different levels, so we're not all on the same floor at the same time, which would be confusing for any entities then, and downright confusing for us, wouldn't it? So we were on the level that I thought was really good. Now, remember, this was like we were there in the early evening, so it was still daylight because it's summertime, still daylight, and I wasn't really expecting an awful lot because for some reason in my head, when it comes to paranormal and ghosts, especially, I always think it was going to be the dark and night time when they all start popping their heads out and saying hello and like triggering off loads of EMF and stuff like that. But not the case, was it? We had on the level where we'd done the pendulum, and it was all. I think that was the top level, wasn't it? And
That
we were up
was so.
there.
It was the first. No, it wasn't. It was the second level that we'd gone on to. So the first level we
Mm,
went on to, I will say, we had a skeptic amongst us, didn't we? We had a
mm,
person
mm.
who had never been on investigation before, and the first thing they said was, "Not going to get anything in here. Not going to
Right.
get
Yeah.
anything. There's too much going on.
Yeah.
We're not going to get
Yeah.
anything." And I
Mm,
remember saying, I I am sure that you're going to be mistaken. However,
yeah.
you know what?
Yeah.
In the spirit of things, let's just see. Let's be open-minded.
Yeah.
Again, being critical, being able to analyze and being able to debunk is essential. But
Mm,
let's just be open-minded, so what can come in, and we can process it as we go.
yeah.
So we had some really interesting responses through some of the experiments we did. But when we went on to the second floor, which is when we had the pendulum, so we'd already started. So a little bit of an introduction for those that don't know me. I'm a psychic medium, and I'm quite. I consider myself as being a sensitive. So we'd already done some kind of experiments using that and built up that energy. We were working
Mm,
within it. When we went up
yeah.
to the second floor, we brought out the electronics more. And this is
Yeah.
when we had the pendulum going, we had two K2s going in different parts
Mm,
of the room, two people with them.
yeah.
We had the spirit box, we had sensory deprivation going,
Mm,
and that was when we got the validation where we was able to research and find the person
yeah.
that we'd actually made communication with. And these bits of evidence was validated through two or three pieces of equipment at once as well.
Mm,
So
mm,
yeah, when we introduced the pendulum at that point, it enhanced the experience more. It gave everyone more of a integral part. I think that's the hardest thing when we go on investigations, especially if you go as a member of public, is that if you don't engage everyone, get everyone
yeah.
in like involved with it, it can feel quite solitary. It can feel like it's not
Yeah.
your experience. So we really
Yeah.
made sure we did that, but it was fantastic for us because that meant we had lots of different people validating one interaction with
Yeah.
spirit, which was fantastic.
Yeah. So some of the experiments, I think there may be people out there that probably won't know some of the experiments that are carried out. When we first got there on the first floor, you carried out what they call body tipping, isn't it? Can you explain what the body tipping, how that works?
Yep,
Just
so
for the
body
people so
tipping
they
or
know what that
human.
is.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So it's also known as a human pendulum. So it's a divination tool. However, instead of using a crystal as a conduit, you have a person that is the conduit. And all
Mm,
you're asking is for spirit to come close enough to be able to influence that movement. It does rely on the person that you're working with to be really quite relaxed and comfortable and feeling quite secure and
mm,
safe in that moment. So there's a lot of work in that and kind of developing the relationship between the group as well. It involves us in a circle, the person, the conjurer, I will say, because we obviously won't say no names, conjurer in the middle, and then someone standing behind them and someone in front of them. And we did have a rather handy person involved that was lending their energy as well. So that
mm.
person was
Yeah.
standing just to the right. And what it is
Yeah.
that you ask questions, so that the conduit in the middle is relaxes themselves, relaxes their shoulders, unclenches their jaw. You never realize how tense you are until that please unclench your jaw is said, and then you realize.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
then you just say, if you know, I'm going to ask you a question. We're going to ask this question of the spirits in the room, and if it's a yes, please allow this person to lean back, and if it's a no, then please ask this person or influence this person to lean forward. Um, and what happens is it's a bit uncomfortable at first for the person that's doing it because it feels a little bit of a out of body ish. But once that they get
Mm,
used to that, you're able to have that communication with spirits. It's a yes and no. It is really limited because it is yes and no. and it does
Mm.
involve having really curious questions and being able to be creative to be able to get your answers in a yes no format. So it does
Yeah.
require that. Um, but in terms of getting the evening going, it was a great way of getting everyone working together. We did have a two K2s working at the same time,
Yeah.
in two different
Mhm.
places, and they were being influenced as well, both getting
Mm.
the same hits
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And we also had the pendulum, the human pendulum going. So yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah. I had a laser thermometer. I also had a tricorder going, and a tricorder is great because it gives me EMF. That's electromagnetic fluctuations or frequencies, and also radio frequencies at the same time. So if there's any, sometimes you get it, not all the while, but sometimes you can account for some stuff happening because of maybe cell towers being too close or nearby. 5G towers and stuff can interfere greatly with EMF and stuff. Um, so I had a tricorder with me. It also detects any electrical uh, uh, frequency as well, fluctuations. So if we're too near, maybe a meter or electric meter or maybe a boiler or anything that gives off any motor, it will show up on my meter as well. So we try and be as, on our investigations, we try and be as, we're not just all about jumping in. There is ghosts. We are open to the fact that, and we're quite okay, aren't we? That we can go somewhere and walk away and may not experience anything. And it doesn't matter. We can't call upon it as a cue. Look, we're here, come on out, it'd be great, but it doesn't happen like that. So we try and take equipment which really bona fides that there is something there, because I think it gives it a lot more credibility. But anyway, I stopped waffling. That was great. The human pendulum, that was good as a start off. Then we went upstairs, and that was even better. We got some really great results because we had the pendulum with the lady swinging it with her hat on her finger, basically. So, and I was watching her very, very carefully because I like to kind of like, well, if there's anyone, if she was wobbling it, I would have said, "Oh, keep your finger still," but she wasn't. Um, and the bangs, Kerry, we heard a bang on the floor and on the door. There's a door leading out onto a flat roof, wasn't there? Tell them about
Absolutely.
that.
So the top of the building. So essentially, there is one, two, three, four. There's four floors, including the basement. But then on the fourth floor, there is an additional staircase that took you up to the top floor that couldn't be accessed by the main staircase. And then you had a door that would have took you out to the roof. Um, and it was we were there is where we did the pendulum, and we got some sensory deprivation going, which is where ideally you wear noise cancelling headphones, you have your eye mask on, and you listen to the spirit box, which skips through the frequencies really quickly, and you might get back some music, hopefully not, but typically if you've got something that goes over more than two or three um, kind of skips, then frequencies, sorry, should I say, then you might have there an intellectual communication, or you might have EVP of some sort. So we had all that going whilst we're
Mm.
communicating with a spirit. Now, this is the most interesting. I feel like we're going to start off strong with this one because this one
Yeah,
blew me away.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Mm.
but we had the spirit box, two K2s, the pendulum, and some divination rods. And then obviously, Phil, you had your equipment with you and you was having a look around
Yeah,
as well while
yeah,
this was going on. So you was working with us all.
yeah,
And in come this energy. Now, I originally felt this person, he was a gentleman, and he was standing to the right of me, and he was standing by the door that goes onto the roof, and there was some disfiguration to his face. So we're having a look because there's been other entities that we picked up, other spirits that kind of come through. So I just kind of made everyone aware that I'm just picking up on this. Let's see if we can bring him forward and see if we can make some communication with him. We had another gentleman with us, and straight away he said, "I'm hearing the name Michael. I'm hearing Michael." So with that being said, I was like, okay, let's see, let's see. So I said, is your name Michael? We had two K2s go off in separate areas. Red. It was like, okay, this is
Yeah.
really good. So we were working through different
Hmm.
questions. We were able to move away, maybe less from the yes and no's because I'm sorry, I've been just been joined by my dog. Less of the yes
Oh,
and no's
bless.
and more with the words as well because we had the spirit box going. Um,
Yeah.
but we established between the seven of us that we had a energy called Michael, who was known as Mikey. There was a real disjustice going on. He had fallen
Mm.
from the building or fallen from a building, and that it would have been within the last 10 years, and that he has been said that he jumps, but he hadn't jumped. He'd been There'd been some messing around and he'd been knocked or he'd been pushed or something had gone on, but there was a real
Yeah.
disjustice. It hadn't been told the way it had happened, and there was a lot of anger and hurt, as you can imagine. So we're wrapping
Mm.
this communication up. It went on for about 45 minutes and it was really good. We got some great stuff, and we're wrapping it up. And as we're wrapping up, I said, you know what, this feels so recent. I wonder if we could Google this because this would be something that would have been documented.
Yeah.
So with that
Yeah.
being said, as we said, we weren't the only team that was on these floors. So we had to move quite timely, so everyone got a fair chance. So I'm now
Mm.
packing things up, and a couple of team members are also kind of standing together. And with that, one of them Googled, and up come a gentleman called Michael. He was 41, and he had been documented 10 years prior, falling to his death. And
Bang. There you
we,
go.
it
Bang.
was just it. Yeah, in the area, and it was like that's just so there's me. I've been doing investigating for a very long time, and for me that is not something that can come by very often. So I'm like,
Mm.
that's amazing, guys, well done. And then one of the ladies that were with us was like, it's just such a sad story, and I had to check myself and go, yes it is. I was so caught up in the fact that we'd had this phenomenal communication that we was able to in that moment, wasn't influenced by any
Yeah.
research, but in that moment we was able to look into it and go and validate it, that I actually kind of lost myself in the fact that this was an actual story and this was a spirit that was communicating with us. So that was a real lesson for me. That was a lesson for me
Yeah.
there and then that I learned in real time. But it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Mm. Absolutely. I mean, so the validation online and that name coming up blew me. But I was like, what? Really? I just don't get that normally. I don't come across that. I don't come across that. Not and so specific. That's the thing. So specific, Kerry. And also on that floor, I was wandering around. I wasn't. I was kind of like I had my camera, I had the trimeter, I had thermometer going. I had it all going. Basically, I was all going off, and I was looking at the group closely, and then I heard, and the group heard this knock, this bang, and it came from the floor. And
Yes.
when I tell you that these rooms are huge, aren't they, Kerry? They're big. I mean, there's no way in the world that you could actually reach up to the roof. It's a very old building. This thing, you can't.
It's a
I would say,
Victorian style. It's a
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, it's a
15
Victorian
foot
style
roof,
building, so the ceilings are huge.
12 foot, 13 maybe. I would say 12 foot
Yes,
at least. I'd say really, really tall.
yes,
So I can
absolutely.
discount anyone kind of like banging with their, I can discount that. I don't think anyone would be silly enough to grab a broomstick and start doing that. Not on a investigation where there's, three groups. They wouldn't allow that. It's just no one plays around like that. In your experience, you've been on a hell of a lot of ghost hunts. You haven't come across that, but people playing around like that, have you?
No, and I know the ladies that were underneath us, and they have a lot of integrity. And
Mm,
there's absolutely no way that they would have done that. And but not just that. It was different to it's different from someone banging on the ceiling to something
mm,
dropping on the floor. These were wooden
mm.
floorboards, so or the
Yeah,
thick wooden floorboards. But this you felt
yeah,
vibrate through the top layer. It wasn't coming from the below layer. We
yeah.
checked. there was nothing that got knocked. Everyone was at this point was in one. We were all together sitting around a table. Um, the only person that kind of was not even moving around, but you were standing by the pendulum lady, whereas this noise
Yeah.
was coming from behind us. So everyone was
Mm.
accounted for. So we had this, what we believe, again, we can only go on by what we believe, was
Yeah.
a physical manifestation of spirit. And this energy was really clear, and it communicated really well with us. And as I say, we were able to validate that kind of evidence in
Yeah.
real time. And then
Yeah.
just as that was, we were kind of tying it all up before we had the kind of
Mm.
regroup and debrief. That's when it
Mm.
happened. And that was when we was like, we're gonna have to change floors now. And we absolutely didn't want to change floors. We wanted to
We
stay
didn't
up
want to
because
go,
it
did
just
we?
felt like
I know we didn't want to
no,
go. No.
no,
And I've got to say, because my ears are attuned, they're attuned to wood knocks, like in the forest, because of what I do. Like normally, I go out in the forest and and so they're attuned to knocking. And it was when you were talking about Michael, and I was wandering around, and like the group, just on the outskirts of the group. And then I stopped by the pension lady, and then you were talking about Michael and about him being pushed. And in the
yeah,
room, in the corner, was a door, and this door was basically boarded up. Now you could
it
open it
was,
still, but it was boarded up, wasn't it, Kerry? And it had like this latch on it. It wasn't a proper lock; it was a latch. Well, oh my word! Not just the floorboard went. There was a loud knock, and everyone in the group turned around to face that door in the corner of the room. I heard it distinctly, went over, and what the hell was that? And that was coming from the outside in, I believe.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when
Incredible.
you look at that, it looked like that door had been boarded up because it was plywood, so
Mm,
it didn't give the impression that you
yeah.
could open it up. And I know that when the
No.
lady come round with water, she was like, "Oh yeah, you can open that door. You can look outside." I didn't, because I am absolutely, I really did some graded exposure. I'm not gonna lie, I'm afraid of heights. So the fact that I was that far up was like, was a
Okay.
real
Okay.
accomplishment for me.
Right.
But I was
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
not going onto that roof. But the others that
Mm,
did go onto the roof said that they could see how someone could have fell or could have been knocked, because the actual ledge of the roof was maybe a foot high.
mm,
There was
yeah.
nothing that was
Yeah.
stopping
That's right.
anyone.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, there was nothing that could have stopped you from going over. There was
Yeah.
no railings up there. There was nothing. And I think what's interesting is, as I said, there's that one staircase that takes you up, and it's a beautiful wood. It's as old as the building staircase that
Mm,
goes up. But that used to be a restaurant up there. That was where they done
yeah.
an
Yeah.
orchestra and stuff, which was also
Yeah.
interesting, because when we did the sensory deprivation up there, someone kept saying,
Yeah.
"I can hear music," and I said, "Yeah, that's normal." She went, "No, it's not bursts of
Interesting.
music. This is an orchestra. I can hear an orchestra playing." And then it weren't until later on at the end of the night that they said that there was an orchestra that would play up there. So I don't know if I
God.
told you that part, Phil. Yeah,
No, you
she kept saying,
didn't. You
yeah, she said, "I
didn't. You
can hear
kept that to
music."
yourself. You did. You kept that to
Oh,
yourself.
sorry. We have the water lady. We have the water lady with us in the chat. Hello, Vicky. And I want to say thank you to everyone that's joining so far. So Kevin and Alan,
Yeah.
thank you so much. There's some questions out here as well.
Let's
There
have a
is some
look. Oh,
questions.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
uh,
Yep. Look.
Ashley, hello,
Right under
Ashley
the
and Colin. Hi,
Yeah.
everyone. So I think the first question that we've got is from Kevin. Kevin says that building up the energy in the room to maximize effect, which is great. Yeah,
Oh,
do
hello,
that through
Jojo.
lots of ways:
Hi,
laughing,
Jojo.
singing, clapping. Mm. Hi, Joe, or Jojo, should I say? Kevin, what was the most active place you've been? This
Hey,
place,
Colin.
I'll be honest with you, the place it was amazing. Um, Alan has said, it sounds a bit dangerous. You don't know whom you are actually speaking with.
Oh,
I think that's that
no.
age old kind of debate, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
when we think about different belief systems, and
Mm,
not even that, but ideologies and hypotheses that we have around spirit and who
yeah.
spirit is, and
Mm,
there are lots of different theories about
using those
who we
long
are.
words again. You using a lot of long
Oh,
words there. Yeah,
I do
hypothesizing.
apologise.
Carry on,
I'm
carry on.
pretending. I've lost my flow.
I
But yes,
was like,
uh, hypothesis. Well, the thing is, it's all theory, isn't it? It's all philosophy at
it
this
is.
point. It's not
It's all
science.
theory. It is. It is all theory. It is all theory. I've just got to say hello, Stu from Paranormal Walks. He's brilliant, by the way. Anyone into paranormal, check him out as well. He's really good. Can I tell you something, Kerry? Another thing, just one quick thing, really, really quick. When I went up onto the flat roof, where it was Michael that got pushed off.
Yeah.
I went outside, so it wasn't particularly cold, was it? It wasn't particularly warm. It was just sort of, I don't know. It was like kind of just. It was the right temperature, wasn't it? I suppose a bit on the chilly, but nothing too bad. But it was okay. Put it this way, it was t-shirt, wasn't it? It was t-shirt. So I went out on a
Yes, it was
flat
nice
roof
weather.
with my camera, and blow me down. I can remember looking through the camera, and it was all cloudy and white. It was literally when anyone looks at the video, go on to Seventh Sanctum on Facebook or on my channel Dogman Teepee Hunting. Look at the video. Okay, now I do apologise for the quality. I did want to stream it live. We did, didn't we, Kerry? We wanted to do a live stream, really.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it didn't pan out the way it should have done, though, because what we were planning on doing was trying to get Kerry, Laura,
yeah.
at least, yeah, onto the live stream as well. So their cameras would be streaming at the same time. So you at home could watch 3 or 4 different streams on the same picture. But we couldn't log on to their Wi-Fi, could we? They got Wi-Fi in the building, but we couldn't log on. Every time we tried, Laura tried for ages, and she didn't believe me at first. I said, "Oh, it don't work. It don't work." She said, "Yeah, of course it does." And then she tried, couldn't log on, just wouldn't let you connect. And time was running out, and I was like, so we had to rely on the internet. Hence, that's why the quality was a bit sketchy, wasn't it? But getting back to this on the flat roof, up until that point, great, quite clear, yeah. But on the flat roof, it was almost like a fog had come in. But then when I went back inside the building, clear again. Now, if it had been condensation or heat, I would have said, well, that fog would still stay on the lens when I went into the building until it cleared. But no, it was only outside. I just wanted to make that point. That's all, Kerry. Just another little added extra there. Crack away. Go on, take it away.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say a special shout out to the water lady, Vicky, who kept us very well hydrated during our
Yes, you
investigation.
did.
Done a really good job.
Yeah.
And a special shout out also to Ashley and Adam as well, who's in the chat, who was there on the investigation. Thank you so much for joining us. So yes, I think the top floor, the second floor that we were on, I thought really kind of brought it all together. I thought we really started having some great evidence starting to build up. The one thing we were moving between floor 4, so it kind of, we had to kind of get that going again. But as a group, I feel like we did that quite well, and I think that we had a theme of a couple of characters.
That's easy for you to say.
Throughout the evening. So we had Anne, who was the first lady. Oh, it was not. I thought, no, I felt like I was having an aneurysm. It was terrible. But we had Anne, who would come through. It probably looked like it as well, actually.
Yeah, it did actually.
My
quite worried then.
Is fine until it's not fine.
Yeah. I was thinking, if anything happens, I was going to get my EMF meter. I was going to get Kerry. Are you there? What is it like on the other side?
Needed. Just needed a system reboot. That's what it was. System reboot, and I was okay.
We did have an eclectic mix of people, didn't we?
Who come through quite a lot. Yeah. we had a lady who come through straight away when we was on that first floor when we did the human pendulum. We had a lady who was linking to the 19th century that really had this fear of being able to go forward, and she was remaining there. A lot of things that I'd picked up before we started. So there was a lot of children. I know that this building was there during the war, but I found out when we was doing the debrief. But there was a lot of children there. I had previously mentioned it felt like there would been everyone was evacuated and they were in that building.
Hmm.
There was a lot of smoke and panic, and I later found out that there was a plane had gone down or there'd been a bomb. So there was lots of things going on. But this lady that come through, the reason I'm saying that is because she then felt like she was like the guardian of the children. Actually, there was children that come up later on throughout the investigation, but she felt like she kind of looks after the children, but they weren't children that she would have known in life. They were children that they come across in spirit that were in the building. So
Yeah.
she was really
Mm.
reluctant, but as time went on, it come back about that she felt real responsible for taking her own life, and trigger warning, sorry, and that's why she wasn't looking to move forward. But when we got that evidence of coming through that's why she wasn't moving forward, that was when we was doing a human pendulum, and that was when we was using a conduit, and the conduit become feeling quite. She snapped out of it very quickly because with that she just felt like a wave of emotion coming over her. So we did some grounding with her as well. So she'd come through, a lady called Anne, and there was a gentleman that kept coming through as well as we went through the floors, which is what I found so interesting because each floor had a different feel to it. It felt like it was in different eras, and as you move, the energy changed. But actually, these characters would move with us, except for the basement. The basement was very peculiar.
Very peculiar. Indeed, it was. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I loved the
absolutely.
basement. Loved it. Brilliant. Absolutely. But you told me it was great because before we went, you said, because you went there, didn't you, and had a little recce yourself. And you said
Well,
there
we
was
met up with
a figure.
Tuesday.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
there was a
So
figure you
when
saw before,
before,
wasn't there? Tell us. Tell us.
so I'd gone there to meet David and Sue, who are the organisers of this event. As I said in the beginning of the live, David and Sue is from Essex UFO and Paranormal Group. They're based in Southend. They do lots of amazing talks and stuff, and they're on Facebook and got a website and everything they've got coming up. They organised it to raise funds because this building is a massive community support. So they've done it to raise funds for it. So I'd gone there to meet David and just to have a look around and see how we could best set things up and what that could look like in terms of a paranormal investigation. And I'd gone down into the basement. Now this basement is huge, but in the middle of the basement is this old staircase, but it's very grand staircase in the center of the basement that kind of took you up to the next floor, but it was boarded over, so it was going nowhere. Um, and behind that was more basement, but no light. And we'd gone so far into the basement before the stairs, and I've looked down, and there down the bottom is a shadow man. And I'm very aware of him, and he's very aware of me. But I couldn't see much more of him. I couldn't make out any facial features. I didn't get any sensations from him. I didn't just felt an overwhelming feeling of you're not welcome here, but not in a way that it was like get out. It was just like, what are you doing
Mm,
here? Basically, who are you? And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go have a look at him." So I've gone to walk over to him, and I've gone with the other Laura. So we have 2 Lauras. We have little Laura and big Laura, and that's due to height simply. And I was with little Laura, and she's walking with me, but with that, I felt this little hand grab my elbow, and when I've turned around and I'm thinking it was Laura and no one was there, she was the other side of me, and it felt like someone was pulling me back. So it made me jump, but I've turned around. She went, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah." "Did you just grab my arm?" She's like, "No." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I carried on walking. And by the time with that distraction of who did that and turning
mm.
around, whatever was there was gone. So I was
Mm.
very aware. But where we did see him, and the sad thing is I'm a bit of a tech phobe, if I'm honest with you. And this is where Phil is going to absolutely save Seventh Sanctum. We had CCTV. We set the CCTV up in that location, but I had no memory card, so we couldn't
Mm.
film it, sadly.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
lesson to learn,
yeah,
lesson to learn.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
yeah, we know for future.
You know, exactly. Yeah. I mean, this was in all fairness, this was quite a big investigation, a very big venue as well. Yeah, I think there was a comment up there from, yeah, Alan. Um, what it was, Alan, it wasn't, it was not so much a warehouse as it used to be an old ironworks. And they basically did things like staircase balustrades, didn't they? Anything to do with iron, basically. They would be manufacturing there, making and then distributing out. Even to the point of something in the cellar, which we'll get onto later. We'll get onto later, but I found out by accident later on. Not because I'm uh, psychotic or psychic or anything. I'm not, probably psychotic, but I'm not. I'm not. Nothing to do with that. I leave that business up to you, Kerry. But yeah, I just found out about something with the cellar as well. Um, I just wanted to mention also with the cellar that I done a baseline reading. So I went around before everyone all set up because it was very, very dark and we kept it dark. And then Adam, Kerry's other half, really lovely bloke. He helped me with my bells, getting them up because I'm too short. Yeah. Um, and it was very nice of him. Didn't he? You know, I didn't even just hop straight to it, grab my bells, put them up. You know what I mean? I can't ask for more than that. Um, and anyway, I was going around just taking readings. I like to do that just to see what the baseline is, to see if there is any if there's any electrical fluctuation coming from something. I'd rather know about it before we all sit down and start messing around looking for anything paranormal. So I can tell you now that there was no EMF reading. There was some electrical fluctuation coming from one particular meter box in a very far corner, which we weren't really very near at all.
Yeah.
I'd say about
Yes.
15, 20 foot away. Yeah. So other than that, quite clear everything. Actually, the whole place wasn't it really? Um, I was really surprised. Usually, when you go walking around a place, you do find the meters start drilling up a little bit. The lights start going up because it might be wires in the wall, or it might be uh, even but yeah, a bit of old conduit in the wall where it's like kind of got some residual electricity, or they've got lighting there. They have got lighting there. They have got live electricity there. So but on the whole, we didn't really find very much. Only when we kind of, this was the really fascinating part, when we started asking for responses, did the meters really go up. Um, I liked it. There was a corridor
Yeah.
we went down, really interesting. Can you explain a little bit more for the people
Yeah.
how you do the isolation thing, first of all? Because I can't explain that bit very well. You did explain it. It's where you put headphones on and they're listening to, what is it, white noise, isn't it? White noise? Isn't it white,
Yes,
Kerry?
it's white
Yeah.
noise. So the sensory deprivation. So essentially, yes. So what we do is we stop any other sensory input going in. So visual, audio, anything like that. We reduce everything. So the only input you have is what's going through the spirit box, which heightens it. And essentially, what we ask the person to do is whatever comes through, just say. Don't think about it, just say. When you're wearing noise cancelling headphones, what happens is you're less likely to hear what the people around you are saying. So that if you've got someone that is asking questions and there is an answer that can, and I mean genuinely relates to the question, how many is there of us? I'm talking about that, not vaguely, let's make it fit. Then you know that you're having intellectual evidence coming through. You're speaking to an intellectual spirit rather than a you know, something that's coming through the radio, or you know, something that's just residual. Um, so that's essentially what happens with
Mm,
the century of. It's one of my favorite style of experiments, actually, because I feel like you could get quite a lot from that. I do, before
mm,
we carry on, I do want to make a comment, or make
mm,
a note of something about daytime and nighttime investigations. I know that when you spoke about I think it's really important to note that biologically we are wired to see differently in the day than we are during the night. So that's why we're more susceptible to the paranormal in the evening. During the day, we're more likely to see colour and shapes, whereas in the evening, in the dark, we're more likely to see movement. So we see equally as well, but in different formats. So that is why we're more prone and sensitive to things like movement, because we're less likely to see a color or a shape of something, more so
mm.
a movement. So that's why it's preferred. However, I don't think in terms, we've proven that in terms of investigations, that it doesn't actually affect the quality of investigation. If you're in a
Right.
location that's heavily in public, then absolutely, you've got so many
Mm.
things that are impacting it. But our investigation was in daylight, but actually was in the evening, and it didn't really impact us as much because that was limited. But
No.
this particular, going back to that, sorry, they did.
Mm.
There was a really weird, obscure, didn't have a real point corridor. It
There was.
didn't make
No.
sense because it
No.
essentially run alongside it kind of come out where the door of the room was, and it come from the room. So it was
Yeah.
really a weird space.
Yeah. I would have loved it as a kid. It's the sort of
It,
corridor I would have
yeah.
loved, because I would have, like, it was one of those where I would have been like kind of probably, pinching a mate, or calling the mate a name, and then running off down the corridor. You can't catch me, until I trip over and hit my head or something. But that's the sort of corridor it was. Very narrow, quite dark, wasn't it? And it did run behind the wall almost, didn't it? It ran behind the wall of the room. So you could go from one end of the room to the other just through the corridor. So why it was there, I do not know. It must have had a purpose, but I can't think what that purpose would be. No, but that was a very interesting. I didn't think we were going to get anything there. Laura, who was with me at the time, because you basically said, right, you two oiks, you go down that corridor. And we're like, oh, because I didn't think
Well,
anything was going to
we
happen
were
down
having a
there.
bit of a. Oh no, absolutely. I knew that there was, but we were essentially, there was a small group of us having a little bit of a mothers' meeting. We hadn't had a break yet. A couple of us were just like, let's kind of have a chat. Where others were like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting time? So the ones were like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting time? Went off and done their own little investigation. Those were just having a little kind of like, what have we got so far? Let's have a discussion about this. What do you think? What do you think it could be? So it was all relevant. But yes, so
Hmm.
you guys went and done, and so I wasn't here for this, but all I heard was the person coming out of the sensory deprivation going, that felt like an out of body experience. So what
Yeah,
happened?
oh, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. Right, so we had one guy who, when we had one guy who came and done the sensory deprivation. So we stuck the earphones on him and plugged him in, and away he went. But nice guy, but um, uh, brilliant as well, because he didn't come up with anything. There was nothing that Laura and myself were asking out. So we were asking if there's anything here, and you'd like yourself to be known. Now's your chance. I've got a recorder. You can talk through this guy here. Talk through him. The one with the earphones on. Uh, and if it's your chance to actually say your piece. If you're happy, unhappy, use our energies and come through. Anyway, nothing at all. He didn't say a word. But at the same time, we kind of Laura got cold spots. So all of a sudden she got like this cold feeling from the floor going up, coming up. And I also got on camera a shadow. Now I thought she was casting a shadow because I had it was completely pitch black, but I had to have a light on. So I had a very dim blue light like I got on here. So I can just turn this white one off. I just got a blue light, but really dim. Really like, you know, dimmer than this actually it was. And oh, that's scary. Anyway, so I thought, right, okay, that's a bit odd because the shadow didn't match where Laura was. It was slightly different. It's not how casting in the right way. When I moved and moved the light, the shadow stayed in the same position, if you know what I mean. And if you move around somebody, their shadow should move as well with the light. But this one didn't. And that was a bit odd. And I said to Laura, I said, hang on, there's something. So just stay where you are. That's when she stayed where she was. And I moved it and I found out that it wasn't moving. Then we had the temperature anomalies happening. And Laura swore, not literally swear, but she swore blind that there was something coming up through the floor from the cellar. There was something coming up. And she started getting readings on the EMF. My trimeter, that started screaming. And what it does, it's not like a K2, it does start beeping really quickly. Beep, 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 beep. It goes like that when it starts getting. So that started going, but nothing off the bloke that was sat down, Kerry. So we were like, right, okay, well, there's something here, there's something going on. Laura looked at me and thought, we'll just do it again, let's try it again. Luckily enough, we had another victim. So we said to this other guy, right, okay, you give it a go. Stick the earphones on and sit down. So he did. Lovely guy. And we then started asking out. Lo and behold, now he's got the earphones on, like Kerry described. He's got the earphones on. He can't hear us. He's completely blind, audibly and blindfolded as well. So we started asking out, and we got responses from him. And he came up with a name, Steve. What was it? What was it, Kerry? Moley? Because I told you afterwards you got better memory than me. Steve somebody, Mosley, or I'm sure it was Moley or Merley, Steve Merley or something like that.
I'm wondering whether, I will say, Phil, your signal is a bit, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's yours.
Do you know, I was going to say the same about, I was going to say about the same about yours. You kept glitching. I don't think there's a lot we can do about it. It might just be the weather.
Yeah,
it might
I think
be the
both
weather.
of our signals isn't great. I think.
See, it's another thing, possibly. Isn't it?
I think we have with us in the chat. We did have Ashley with us. Ashley was with you guys.
Right.
So I'm wondering if Ashley's still there. I do think it was Steve M, but I can't remember.
It was. He started saying in sentence, and the sentences, this guy with the earphones on and blindfold, and he said, I didn't mean to do it. And we were like, didn't mean to do on actually Laura said didn't mean to do what? Steve Miller was it? Steve Miller, yes, that's right. Thanks, Tammy. Yes, Steve Miller, that's right. I'm sure. Put me right, Tammy. Did he? I'm sure he said it. I didn't mean to do it.
Ooh, thank you, Tilly.
Then I said, "Do what?" And he said, "I couldn't jump off the roof." Steve said, "I couldn't jump off the roof," and I was like, "So you tried to commit suicide?" Yes. Then Laura thought that he was the one that pushed Michael off the roof. Yes, that's right. We think he was connected to Mickey. That's it. Yeah, Mickey, who's on the roof, who got pushed off. That's right, Tammy. but I think he wasn't. I think he was some. We'll come to that in a minute or two. What I think he was. Yeah, yeah. That's right. He was the one that was pushed. Yeah, he was saying that he was. Yeah, that's it. Mickey was the one that was pushed. But this Steve, I think he did commit suicide. But we'll come to that in a bit. Yeah. And that was very powerful what happened then. So down that corridor, and with this guy, he was just basically vomiting out loads of stuff, information on
Oh,
Mickey, the suicide, jumping off the roof, or being pushed off the roof. That's exact words. Sorry, Tammy, that's right. Yeah, the one, that's right. He kept saying the one who was pushed, and he was quite shouting it almost. He was like really it wasn't this guy that sat down out of the whole group. He was one of the quietest. But when he sat down with the earphones on, the blindfold, boy, was he not. He was like, proper, the one that was pushed, almost aggravated that we were asking him questions. Fantastic.
yeah,
Absolutely brilliant. It was brilliant. Um,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, really great. Really great. Yeah. As I say, check out the video as well, because I mean, it was on there and it's just fantastic. Yeah.
yeah.
Blew me away.
We've got the live. The live that's been is still up. It is a long investigation. We went live the
Mm.
entirety of the investigation, so it's about 4 hours long. And I think that Phil, you're going to go through some
Yeah,
bits
I
and
am. Yeah, you're starting to glitch again.
have
You're
a
glitching.
look at some of the evidence that we got.
Yeah,
And public. Oh, this signal is not on our
yeah.
side today. I don't know what's going on. Is it an intervention, do you reckon?
I think it is, I think it is, yeah. I know. Yeah, I'm not going to go anywhere near any balconies. I know that. Isn't it odd? And I tell you what, Kerry, usually on this little setup I've got, I don't normally get any
Absolutely. Alan
problems. Very rarely.
Alan did say that,
Um,
remember, we are having CMEs from the sun too now.
right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So ejections from the sun. Right. Yeah. 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 We are in the state of that, aren't we? Yeah, we are getting those. Could well be. Could well be. Could well be that. But it's, yeah, very strange. It is. Yeah. So, what was it? Yeah. Where were we? Oh, there, this guy just going off on one. Literally,
And
and then what was so strange, right? He took afterwards. We thought, right, okay, got to like get him out because it's kind of, um, it's quite scary to see somebody out of character like that. And so you kind of like took the headphones off, and the blind off him, the mask and rest of it, and he's just normal self, really quiet. Yeah, really quiet. And then said, "Did any of what I said make sense?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, it did. Yeah, amazing, brilliant. That was so good. And then Laura, that really touched off of Laura. She was obsessed uh, about the cellar after that, like I was, rightly so. There was something in the cellar emanating up from there. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right, Alan. Yeah,
yeah,
could
I
try a
think
police record search. Yeah.
so. We went back. We
Hello, Melissa.
definitely. I think it's really important for us to kind of acknowledge as well. Hi, Melissa. Is that I mean, as a team, we're getting bigger, and there'll be lots of opportunities for the people involved for us to delve deeper into some of the stories that come up after investigations. I think could be an aspect of our debriefing is looking to see if we can see anything in police records and stuff. I know that it is in the public realm in terms of newspaper articles. So that was quite interesting. We got his age, his name, you know, the area, what happened and stuff. So yeah, but I mean, in the basement, it felt like time just like disappeared when we were there.
Yeah, it did.
We
It
were,
really
it did.
did.
I felt like yeah, I felt like we had loads of time on the other floors, but as soon as we were in the basement, it disappeared. But we had just as much time in that room than we did everywhere else. So I just felt that was really strange.
I know, it went so quick.
It did.
It's like
And we didn't wait around. We didn't waste any time. We got straight
no, we
involved.
didn't. No. And I'll tell you what I'll do. You know, you're saying about doing research before we come on and like kind of getting a bit of police records and stuff. I think that's a good idea. And I think it's a good idea what I'm going to do, and I'll do it on the video that we got, the live. I think I'm going to index it to make it easier for people. So all of these bits that have happened, I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to put an index, a time index. So you don't have to go through the whole lot, which is like a lifetime. You can just go straight to the time index. I should have done that really before, but as I say, we just done it, uploaded it as a live, and that was it. But I'll go through that, Kerry, and put an index on time on.
That would be amazing. And just in the chat, Wayne's joined us, Wayne Seaton, who was there on the investigation with us.
Hey, Wayne.
Melissa, yes, it was the one in Southend, the building. I'll reach out to you about more information around that. So yeah, I think that'd be a really good idea if we could maybe release a list of points, time, and kind of the activity around that time, or what we did.
Oh, I think we've got a guest, Kerry, as well.
For example, the human pendulum and stuff like that.
Hello, Natalie. Hello.
I made it.
Hello.
Brilliant. Yeah, Alan, how you doing? I think yeah, you could be right about portal. I think you could be right. Alan was just saying that means a portal is likely down there. Yeah, could well be. Could well be indeed. There was actually in the cellar, there was one corner of the cellar where there's some like pipe work, wasn't there, Kerry? And it was like kind of had quite a number of people say that very cold spot. There was a lot of electrical activity there, but there was no electrics there. All the electrics over the other side of the room. But yeah, thanks for that, Alan. Yeah. Natalie, sorry, how are you?
Flustered. I've had one of those days, hence the being an hour later than I was intending to be. It's, you know what animals are like. You know, when you're in a rush, animals always make you not rush anymore, don't they?
Yeah. I know about animals. Yeah, I got two terriers myself.
Yeah, I'd got 20 minutes to hay the horses, and they all decided to stand in the way of the Daihatsu. And I got out, moved them out of the way. By the time I got back in again, there was another one standing in front of it. And I was like, seriously, guys, come on. And they were just like, we're going to do it because it's annoying you. So,
yeah, that's it. We're just going to stop you. Yeah, you're trying to do that podcast, aren't you? Well, you're not, Natalie. You're staying here with us.
Yeah. I try and do the podcast on the days when I'm not doing the horses, and then that way they can't interfere.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd probably come on if they had half the chance, actually.
I was going to say, yeah. That'd be an option. Yeah, I think I can have up to 10 guests on this.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, or Nay and Feist Nay.
Yeah. Is it a dog?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you manage to see the video?
Natalie is sorry. The signal's a bit. We've noticed, Natalie, that the signal's a bit poor.
The volume on this,
I
can barely hear it. So it's like I don't actually. I'm having to really focus to see if you're talking or not.
Oh, okay. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to quickly.
I can. It's just the volume's not very good. Me and tech, you see, I'm just not designed for it. I don't know if I don't know. It's been a while since I've used StreamYard, and this is a new phone, so I daren't press any buttons just in case.
Right. Yeah. Can hear you. Okay.
The mic's off.
Oh, well, that's good.
I'm
If I just say random things then, and I've misheard
I'm
you.
wondering, Phil,
Yeah.
whether it'd be an idea for us to.
What,
Phil,
do an
I'm wondering whether it
exorcism?
might be an idea if we try to. Yeah, something's going on. And also Wayne's made a really good point that he has some great evidence as well, in the cellar. So I'm in the basement. So I'm wondering whether it might be an idea if we try to restart the podcast, see if that will help.
Yeah, can do. Yeah, can do that.
Either that, or I can just sit here in the background and pretend. I'll just
do you
nod.
reckon
No, 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 not at all. All right, I'll tell you what then.
It's not you now. Yep.
Either that, or I
No.
can go out and come in and recheck my mic settings.
See, it's funny because I can hear you fine.
Yeah,
Can you hear-
I've got my volume on full, and I'm. You're just like little. In fact, you're like little tiny EVP voices, and I'm just like.
Okay, all right then. All right, I'll tell you what then. Shall I restart it then, Kerry? What do you reckon? Restart
Perfect. The signal is really poor for all of us, so I'm wondering whether that.
it? Okay.
Absolutely,
All right.
I think
All
that
right.
might give us a chance to get everything back on track.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to end this. I'm going to
Stay
end
with
this live
us.
and then restart a
Stay
new
with
one.
us.
Okay. Yeah. Stay with us. Right. I'm going to end this. All right. So it will end, but then I'm going to restart it all up. Okay. On the same platforms. So that's fine. Okay. Here we go. All right. See you in a bit.